in the meantime, I have a fresh set of experts for you. We've agreed with them that everyone who wants to speak their mother tongue can, and I'm going to call everyone Luc, except David, because he's David. So the three new experts are David Zenner. He is Manager Consumer Centricity at Elia. Is that so?
Indeed,
that is
correct.
so. Then I have Luc Warichet, who is Deputy CEO RESA.
Yes, good morning.
True, yes. And then the second Luc is Luc Decoster, Regulatory Manager at Fluvius. Good. Gentlemen, what to you was the most important lesson from the first phase, David, Elia?
Yeah, thank you. Maybe just state very clear that I'm quite excited that we announced the launch of the second phase. The second phase of Internet of Energy, where we'll come back later on in the presentation. I think founding partners decided and made the good decision to go further with the project, to learn and test and examine even more what use cases can bring. And I'm sure that this is something that we will be able to do in the second phase. But we are not just making a copy of the first phase. I think this is very important. We took the opportunity, together with the use cases in the first phase, and we're very gladful for that, to reflect on what are the lessons learned from that first phase. We identified a couple of good things, but also a lot of pain points that were brought forward. We saw already a couple of them in the videos, and founding partners and others referred to that here on stage. One of the main aspects, which was also bring forward by Ine, is that onboarding test consumers was very hard. Very hard in the sense that it was not easy to identify test users, so household users, actually. Equip them with the necessary installations, connect them to the communication platform, and then I'm also should also state that it was very hard to be in line with the legislation about data privacy.
Yeah.
So that's something we want to alter, we want to change that, and we, system operators, decided to put in place a consumer panel of 150 end consumers that we will select, that we will equip, and that we will connect to that communication platform. And of course, we will have a big attention to the data security and the data privacy. So we'll put also everything in place that data is transferred on a secure way and with respect of the data privacy. So concrete, what we will do in the second phase now is construct that consumer panel so that use cases can focus on what they're good at, testing some new ideas, and that they can test that directly to a critical population of test users.
Yeah. You mentioned consumer profiles as well. Luc, what are you looking at in that field, and how will it work?
Yes, so good morning, everyone. So to answer your question, I don't have a simple answer, of course, but in the energy sector, we call that the consumer actor. We are clearly looking for this kind of shape, of consumer, of motivation also, which means that, of course, they consume, maybe they produce, but what we are looking really for is that they have a potential of flexibility. And for me, there are three main kinds of consumer. Of course, the active one, sometimes we call it the geek. They are really passionate about energy transition. Maybe sometimes they wake up in the morning and think about energy, but I think there are only between 1% and 5% of the population. Maybe they are here, in fact.
I think they're all here. They're all here now.
We are, in fact, in the energy sector. That's normal that we are involved on it. The second one is what I call the semi-active one. I mean, of course, they are interested about renewable, about the transition and so on, but not always, not all the time. I mean, it is the same for industry, for the small or medium company, and also for citizen. We are also our job, we are the core business of the company. But what is really interesting with this kind of semi-active consumer is that they have a lot of potential of flexibility. We have saw a lot of examples about heat pumps, about a boiler, about, of course, now and tomorrow, the electric vehicles. So I think this is really a good situation. And the third situation is the passive consumer. I'm really sure that at the moment, this is the main case, which means that sometimes they don't produce, they don't have a potential of flexibility, but, and this is really important to understand, but maybe they have a shape, a curve or consumption that match with other kind of situation, with active people or semi-active people. We take the case, Sibelga take the case of the sun, clearly. The passive consumer will consume during maybe when the sun is shining and will match, of course, with the active or the semi-active consumer will produce at this moment. So clearly, this is the three main situations.
Okay. Luc, Fluvius, could you do me a favor and solve the problem of the privacy rules?
Yes, I can try to do that and to explain it. You have to know that the main issue is that there should be no concern with the privacy rules. Then you have to make choices. You have to take into account that we are working with a real-time consumer panel, which is real-time data, which is connected to our platforms. So we need to treat those data with the highest priority and respect all rules of privacy regarding GDPR, because these data are concerned as being private. Luckily, I would say as a DSO, but also the other system operators have the experience of already treating the data of more than 400,000 digital meters. So we have some experience on treating the data the way they should be treated. Referring to the specific project we are stepping into now, there is a difference. You have to take care that the customers who participate will have to be well specifically informed of the use of their data. They will need to have the possibility to step out. They will need to have the possibility to see for what purpose their data is used. And they will also even have the right to be forgotten, as is described by the GDPR rules. So we have to put on a system where there is a well-informed consent of the consumer to indicate for which project who can use which data for testing purposes, and we have to respect in all cases the position of the customer to even stop distributing the data.
Okay, clear. David, this was all about consumers. Now, what about the type of use cases that have been tested? What are the lessons learned in that regard?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about the users. The other reflection we had was on the use cases themselves. If we look at the use cases themselves, what was great is that we had a lot of different kind of use cases reflecting on different topics that we saw. Two main concerns around the use cases is that we were missing some important topics, maybe not yet relevant 2 years ago when we launched it, but to our eyes now very important. For example, e-mobility. We didn't have any use case around e-mobility. So we're missing some use cases, and I think it was Catherine that mentioned that again. We saw also that a lot of use cases were trying to solve something, but not really consumer-centric at their very start. So they want to build something up, but not solving the really pain points of consumers. So therefore, with the founding partners, we thought it would be useful to bring forward some topics around which we would like to see some use cases popping up. And everybody, I think, can see on the screen the different kind of topics that we put forward. So at the top of the slide, you will see that we are hoping to see some use cases, some new ideas about around e-mobility, home appliances, heat pumps, water boilers, energy management systems, digital twins of buildings, for example, or communities. Things where we think that the consumer will have in the future and will make a big difference and can facilitate also the evolution of the energy system towards a consumer-centric one. But of course, in those different topics, we hope that use cases address some important challenges that we see, and I think most of them, as you can see on the slide, are quite well known. We put them in 3 big blocks. The consumer challenges were, of course, we would like to see that use cases bring a total cost optimization, for example, that empowers even more the consumer than today. Societal challenges that we see about becoming green, decarbonization, but also be inclusive. So be sure that we reflect also on those who, for which energy is just a cost and have a hard time in getting their bills paid, so that we address that part as well. And then, of course, important to us is the system challenges, where we look at topics that also respond to the system challenges, like, for example, grid constraints, also mentioned in the previous debate a lot of times. Also aspects to us very important. So it's a kind of matrix structure where we hope around concrete topics to find a response to a couple of challenges, and that's what we hope to see in the next phase.
Okay, Luc, Fluvius, Luc, what were the existing use cases?
Well, the existing use cases, they all been through the same process. So they've been from a process from ideation to creation to sandboxing and really testing. And now they're in the phases of evaluation. Where do we go to in the next step with our project? Have we reached the right results that we want to obtain, yes or no? In function of that, they will have to make a decision. There is a cooling down period provided in the process of the project, so they can take the time to decide what is the next step they want to take. And they have certain possibilities. They have the chance to say, stop, and some will do so because they have reached the result they wanted to reach, and they are now even implementing IT systems to go to the next phase of the process. So some will stop. Others will say, yes, we have been testing, but we do not have yet obtained the results that we want to obtain because of several reasons. And one of the main reasons that we see is that they did not have the possibility to test with a live audience, I would say, and to make sure that they have sufficient data to evaluate the results of their project. So they will continue in one or the other way, sometimes in another configuration, sometimes to test even just some more customers, sometimes to test some specific item in their test case they defined before. So they will have the possibility. Others have obtained the results they want to obtain, but as we told before, it is on sandboxing and it is testing, and we've tested with a couple of customers. The problem of connectivity was there, having data from customers. So with the new initiative, we provide also these benefits, meaning there is a consumer panel available and data available to make more thorough testing. So they will continue and evolve to a demonstration phase.
Okay, thank you, Luc. Luc, RESA. Why would a third party enter the second phase, do you think?
Yes, the first main reason is we want to open the game, clearly. We want to open the game. It's a sort of game, in fact. I want to go to the industrial game, of course, and official game. But the more player you have, the more it's important to also have different kind of actor. And for me, we have heard, of course, the lesson learned of the V1. But now it's time to spread or enlarge also the ecosystem. For us, that's really important. In the same philosophy, we want also to involve between 100 and 150 consumer panels. So it's much more than the V1, clearly. We have also the second call, David explained that, with some topics, which is clearly explained on it. And the second reason for me is that we want to have an alliance with non-traditional parties. For me, it's a philosophy, a general philosophy of innovation, of course, to think about a disruptive approach. Think about electric vehicles. Tesla, 10 years ago, comes in this sector, the vehicle sectors. Tesla don't comes from the electric vehicle sector, from the electric maybe, but not in the vehicle sector. So we have, I think, the same philosophy to go in some disruptive philosophy of innovation.
Okay, thank you. IO.Energy is about bringing the consumer in the center of the energy system. Now, let's have a last reflection on how to involve the consumers in this system. We already talked with the panel, but there are some recommendations on the importance of bringing in the consumer, and they will be given to you by Professor Damien Ernst, at the University of Liège, and Eric Goffard from the city of Charleroi.
Il y a un foisonnement d'idées qui ont été émises dans le cadre des use cases, il y a des modèles qui ont été construits. Aujourd'hui, ces modèles, il va falloir les concrétiser et ça, c'est très intéressant pour les villes et communes parce que ça va nous permettre concrètement d'aller expliquer aux citoyens en quoi l'intelligence des réseaux, les smart grids, les smart cities vont nous permettre de changer leur quotidien dans un horizon de 10 à 20 ans et construire l'avenir.
Mais ce qu'on remarque à l'heure actuelle, non seulement en Belgique, mais au niveau européen, les marchés de l'électricité sont réservés aux gros consommateurs, aux gros producteurs. Il y a énormément d'oubliés, les gens, les petites entreprises, les petits producteurs sont oubliés. Et en ne les faisant pas participer, en les empêchant de participer à ces marchés-là, on hypothèque la flexibilité de la charge ou de la production qu'ils peuvent avoir et on hypothèque aussi beaucoup de possibilités d'investissement de leur part dans des nouveaux moyens de stockage et de production. Donc sans cet Internet de l'énergie, on arrive vraiment à un système en fait, électrique qui coûte beaucoup plus cher et qui est aussi complètement déconnecté en fait, des gens alors qu'ils ne se sentent pas du tout acteurs en fait, de cette transition énergétique qui a lieu au niveau des systèmes électriques.
Yes, this is the last chapter of the debate, so if at home or in the office, wherever you are, you have a question that needs to be answered, please send it to us now, and in a few minutes we'll be able to ask the panel what their answer is. Panel, you listened to the alderman of Charleroi, who said that we should be better at explaining the advantages of the consumers who participate in the ecosystem. What do you think? Any Luc will do?
Yes, you know, most of the time we are a lot of engineers with this kind of project, of technical people, but sometimes we need also to do a lot of pedagogy. And for us, that's not, let's say, inné in French for us, because we are focused on technical, and that's also one of the experience on this project. But of course, to have an attractive project, we need also to go to the explanation of pedagogy and to explain the advantages of this kind of project. Of course, you have an environmental and societal advantage to explain that they will participate to the energy transition, of course. But for me also the second advantage, not at the moment, but for me it's important in the future, is the economic also advantages. So in the sandboxing phases, you don't have already this kind of advantage, but I think if we go to industrial way, clearly it's a goal, it's a way to have economic advantage for this kind of project.
Luc, Fluvius?
Yes, I always find it difficult to try and go explain to a customer what is a smart grid and how it operates. I think it's of no use because we believe that it is a challenge of the distribution system operators and the transmission system operator to provide the same services at the same quality at the same price to the customer. So he will not be bothered by a smart grid. But we have to show him what are the possible advantages. Where is his role in all this. So we know that there are new challenges, there are new products, there are new processes, there are new services on the market, and we have to introduce these services, these products to the customer because they offer him an opportunity for the customer. And an opportunity to be more engaged, to be more active in the energy market, and to, how should I say it? Well, he can optimize his own use, he can optimize the use of the grid, he can offer services to the system operators, so he will be more active. And even the more active is, for me, not enough. You can talk to, put the customer in the center of the market, be more active. I think we should learn and communicate with the customer that he will not be part of the transition, but he will be in the driving seat of the transition.
Okay. David, without the IO.Energy, the future energy system will become more expensive and you will completely disconnect with the consumer. These are very strong statements from Professor Ernst. what are we waiting for to make this a success? Why are we waiting?
We shouldn't wait.
Okay.
We should act, and I think Professor Ernst is stating some very relevant points. What we launch here is also to stay ahead on the evolutions that we see. The main challenge that we see is with all the evolutions coming forward, and I think e-mobility is one of the main drivers. This is most visible for the moment, but of course others will come as well. If we don't change, if we don't evolve the system, we will facing huge problems. System costs will rise increasingly, and we as system operators won't be able to manage the system. So the thing is really to act now, to start immediately, and that's why we want to continue the work in the ecosystems as well, to also bring the companies together, to bring up those solutions for consumers in order to benefit at the utmost from all the possibilities they will have. And we don't want to become the ones that will block that evolutions. So that's why we should act now.
Okay. Questions from you people out there in the dark?
We received 3 questions. The first question is, how do you ensure that customers are protected in a more open and participating energy system? Will customers really understand the opportunities, and will they also understand the risks? For example, if you give consumers access to respond to wholesale prices, sometimes the price will be low, but at another time the price will be high during the peak time. So the question is to the system operators, how do you keep it simple for consumers, clear and safe?
Who wants to answer that?
Yeah, I will start. I find it a very relevant question because indeed one of the complexities of the system becomes trying to explain it in a right, easy way. If you see nowadays what we try to build up, to participate already to some kind of products and to valorize some flexibility right now, you should be become an engineer and be fully dedicated to the energy sector, even to understand what it's all about and how you should react and intervene to that. So indeed, simplification is one big important element. I think also that energy will evolve and won't be anymore about a bill based on a consumption. It will come more and more as a service. So I hope also, together with market parties, that as we offer services, it will become easier to the customer. We are not seeking for customers that will react on real-time prices or on day-ahead prices. Maybe there are some, and of course systems should be able to allow that. But I think customers will seek for services more than just deal with all the complexity.
Marleen?
Yeah. A second question. We talked about the regulatory framework that has to be put in place. We talked about the GDPR compliance. But what about cybersecurity?
Cybersecurity, Luc?
Yes, of course. I didn't mention that before because the compliance of a customer is not the only thing which is concerned. You only have to make sure that you implement the right tools in your technological environment. So meaning you have to encrypt your data, you have to make sure that there is restricted asset to the databases, etc. So you have to put a whole protecting screen around the databases that you will use to support these projects. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And the last question, have you considered offering or developing a peer-to-peer energy marketplace to consumers?
Maybe in French. Parmi les exemples de la V1, donc dans les expériences qu'on a vécues, c'est déjà des modèles qui sont apparus dans les exemples. Donc le partage en peer-to-peer, donc direct. Mais évidemment, ce qu'on se rend compte, c'est que ces acteurs ne savent pas se structurer sans une aide. Et donc, c'est bien de fonctionner en peer-to-peer, ça c'est clair. Donc, quelque part, l'idée, c'est qu'on n'ait même plus besoin de nous. Soyons clairs, c'est bien ça le modèle. Mais on se rend quand même bien compte qu'il faut une infrastructure. Donc l'infrastructure dont on a parlé ici, c'est bien en fait la plateforme clairement, mais aussi le savoir-faire du TSO, du DSO, sur la captation des données, sur le traitement des données, sur l'aide et le renvoi en fait automatique. Et puis évidemment ensuite, comme je l'ai expliqué tout à l'heure, they play the game, of course, but we need also assets. We speak about smart meter. If you don't need a smart meter, it's difficult to go to the peer-to-peer. So I think we have the know-how, we have the assets, and of course we have the platform.
Okay, wonderful. A good answer in 2 languages. Thank you, merci. Bedankt ook aan de 2 andere sprekers. Thank you very much.